get a shot of this. This is me deciding that I wanted to add quilting after I had already stitched, get my fingers out of there, after I had already stitched this. And you know, by the time I came back, I didn't want to have to line up again to this line, you know, let me push this up. I didn't want to have to line up to this line, so I took this line, converted it, right, I took this line in the software in Studio Next, and I copied and pasted it. And then I expanded it 10 mils, so 5 on this side and 5 on that side. And then I converted it into a fill. I put in a rectangle fill. And I put this fill, this bigger fill, this expanded fill after this box, this big rectangle fill, and converted fill to opening. And so now the fill had an opening. Then I converted that to a mesh. And then I gave it this mesh design. Now this is a double layer, so it's not really what quilters do, but you know, it's hard to get a single layer unless you go into editor and use the stipple, one of the stipples. And I'm not crazy about those yet. So, but at any rate, or you could use one of my custom ESM motifs. Those are single layer. But I really do love this design. So I decided to do it. But here's the thing. What happened was, when I expanded it, when I expanded the original smaller outline, it expanded so that it was bigger than my hoop. You can see up here, you know, you don't see this gap like you see all the way around, because, you know, this outer one expanded up into there, and it did the same thing at the bottom. You know, you can see down here, when I expanded it, it came beyond the hoop. Well, my machine's not going to stitch that, right? It's bigger than the hoop. So, and I'll tell you the fix for that. You may have always wondered, what is that tool in Studio Next that says convert mesh to outlines? And you're like, well, why would I want to convert them to outlines? Well, this is one case where you would, because it converts all of these little meshes to outlines. These are all outlines, and they have the same properties of your original mesh. Well, then you can go in and edit whatever outlines you want. So in this case, I edited this part, and granted there's 2 layers, so you have to edit 2 of them. And I just made a straight line and checked snap to object edges so that it would snap to the rectangle edge. And this rectangle is exactly the size of my hoop. If I would have made it any bigger, it wouldn't have fit. But because this is straight line, it's in inches, it's 7.87 tall in height. And this rectangle here of mesh is exactly 7.87 with stitches. So I just, you know, I really maxed it out. But I didn't want to have to try and match this up to this, because it never would have matched up. It never would have matched up. And this looks good because quilters always echo. You know, they even do this very first smaller echo line. And then sometimes they echo, you know, several times around an applique. So in this case, it looks like I echoed around it 2 times. So it's kind of nice. And I have a long arm too, so this is glide thread. I could put this glide thread in my long arm and, you know, finish a quilt with this if I wanted, but I'm just going to make this into a junky pillow because I didn't edit the inside good enough. You could see all the ties. You know, this was originally a Brother FCM file, and I just opened it in editor, and then I fixed it in Studio, but I didn't edit all these shapes inside so that they connect properly. So I was just messing around with this, but if I do make it into something, I am going to edit the inside, the bird, and make all the sections of the bird connect and stitch well so that the inside will stitch all in one go. And I may be able to do it without using a double layer of stitching. I may be able to just make connections. Because up here, all of these, you can see they all end over here. Well, I would make them begin and end here, and then I would just connect them. Same thing with these. And then I would probably, you know, these here are all connecting, you know, in a very inconvenient, unnecessary spot, because, you know, that's how the FCM comes in. This is supposed to be like a cut file for vinyl, and Embird will open it as a stitch file. So anyways, so I could make these all start, I'm getting a shadow. I don't know how to get that better. Okay. So it's done. So I would make, you know, I would make all of these start and end there and connect them. And then these aren't too bad. There's maybe 3 separate objects, but you can see there's a tie there, there's a tie there, 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 there. You know, look at these little ones. Well, this would be part of this. So I can arrange this, everything, to stitch all as one. It may not look exactly the same, but I can arrange it to look good. And, you know, in that case, I could make it start wherever I want. And if I don't, if I'm not able to do it with connections, then as long as they're all touching, I can branch it and it'll look good. And it'll all stitch as one. Yes, it'll be a double layer, but oh well, you know, this is so intricate. And I can even make it so that I have a bigger gap here so that I could have a quilting stitch in here when I do the batting. Because originally what I did was I stitched this bird on just the quilt top, not the batting and the backing, the bird in the blanket stitch. And then I layered the batting here and the backing. You can see down here. It's just muslin because I might just make a pillow. I don't know what. Or nothing. I might just make it into, I don't know, a bag or something. I mean, it's ugly with these ties, but I was actually just, you know, practicing and seeing what I like. So at any rate, I forgot what I was saying. So I'm happy with this, and the whole point of this short video was just to show you that that's what convert mesh to outlines can be used for. That's just one thing. Another thing is you could, on some of the mesh designs, if they're kind of continuous, you can make them into a one-layer mesh by converting everything to an outline and deleting certain groups. It's quite a bit of work, but hopefully Dushan will just come out with the one-layer mesh. Looks like I got a loop there, or oh no, that's just part of the design. So anyways, so that's really cool. So I got my 2 echoes, but see now this echo, because it's a double layer, it looks darker than this echo. So then that makes you say, well, if I'm going to use this, then I probably should do everything, all of this as a double layer. But this here was added, this little line right here, I added after I put the batting and backing together, to just so that it wouldn't be poofy. But I kind of think I need more if this were a quilt. I mean, this is a stiff applique, and so for a pillow, it's probably fine. But if you look at the back, you see, I've got like 4 inches that isn't quilted, from here to here and here to here. And, they say on a lot of batting, they say you can quilt 4 inches apart, and that's fine. But now don't mind this back, because this is going to be like the inside of a pillow or something. So this isn't going to show. If this were going to show, I would have loosened the tension on my bobbin. I would have used different thread. I would have used my special, what was I using? I think I was using So Fine quilting thread, 50 weight. And then on top, I was using a cotton thread. I think I tried, the one I liked was bro thread, and it was all 100% cotton, so it doesn't stretch, and it did give me a balanced stitch. And then my bobbin tension, instead of it being like 20 grams, I set it to like 10 grams. And then this would look like stitching. And then I would have long threads instead of tails. I'd have long threads that I would be burying, and so on and so on. So, but for this experiment, it doesn't matter. So I just wanted to get online and quickly show you that. And this crosshair should come out, even though I ironed it. This is the purple pen. I mean, this is just not that great, because I can see some of the bears through this fabric. But, I cut this with my Cricut Maker and put it on, and I actually cut it too big, and so then I had to expand my blanket stitch. It was quite a journey. And then I did get most of the blanket stitch to just be right on the edge of the applique, and that requires crosshairs. Now over here, there's a little bit of the fabric showing, a little bit right there, but that's, like I said, because I cut it too big. But I mean, all in all, it's not bad for a first experiment. And I'm never going to get robotics on my long arms, so I think what I'll do, since I have a Genomium before, I'll have Mighty Hoop make me a quilting hoop, the kind where the quilt can drape over the top. So then the quilt can be placed over the top and draped to the back of the machine, instead of it trying to smash it in these handles, because I like to hoop. When it's a quilt, you really want to hoop, because when you're quilting a quilt, you don't really want to float, because I don't use any stabilizer when I'm quilting. Like this here was done with no stabilizer. And this was, this batting and backing was floated, but I used Elmer's washable school glue. You could see it here, and that'll wash out. And then I ironed it. And I also used it on the applique when I first put it down, even though I have Heat and Bond Light on the back. So the whole experiment was, it was interesting. It was really interesting. So convert mesh to outlines is your friend. So maybe you guys could find even other ways to use it. You know, maybe you have a rogue stitch that you don't want in a certain spot or whatever. Or like this here, this little line here, I could have deleted that probably, you know, as long as I kept everything so there was not going to be a jump there. You just have to see, you know, delete it and then see what happens. And like this here, I don't know, let's see. If this is the first echo and this is the set, yeah, so this here went over the line. So I could have deleted that because I converted my mesh to outlines. So, you know, I could have fixed that. All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.